Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Russia launches major aerial assault on Ukraine days after United States shut off military aid. Syrian security forces accused of executing dozens of Alawites. India has agreed to cut tariffs, finally exposing them, Trump said. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone of various development projects worth 2,000 crores in Silvassa. We have nothing left to lose, Gazans respond to Trump's warning. South Korean fighter jets accidentally bomb homes, injuring at least 29 people. United States President Donald Trump hosts first crypto summit at White House. Stock market rally as volatility declines, commodity trade steady amid cautious sentiment. The Ukrainian refugee fighting to become the first European sumo grand champion. Trump creates White House task force to oversee preparation for 2026 World Cup. Now let's look at the details. Russia fired cruise and ballistic missiles at Ukraine in a major overnight attack, Vladimir Zelensky said on Friday, as the Ukrainian president renewed his plea for a partial ceasefire at the end of a week in which the United States suspended military aid and intelligence sharing with Kyiv. Russia's assault targeted several regions across Ukraine using nearly 70 missiles and almost 200 drones, Zelensky said on X platform, adding that the massive attack was directed against the infrastructure that ensures normal life. Also following the strike, Zelensky again stressed his desire for a partial ceasefire, a plan first floated by the French President Emmanuel Macron and since discussed by the Ukraine's European allies who met on Thursday in Brussels for a crucial European Union defense summit. Also echoing the plan outlined by Macron, Zelensky said he hoped there can be silence in the skies, banning the use of the missiles, long-range drones and aerial bombs, as well as the silence at the sea. Also a real guarantee that should be given to the Ukraine. He added later on Friday that the most intensive work ever is underway with the US President Donald Trump team ahead of Zelensky's visit to Saudi Arabia next week for negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. But the Trump administration has dealt further blows to Ukraine this week, pausing military shipment to the country and cutting off intelligence sharing. The White House also has suspended Ukraine's access to commercial satellite imagery purchased by the United States government through the company Maxar. Spokespeople for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and Maxar said on Friday, Kyiv has long used their overhead imagery to track Russian troop movement, assess terrain, and also the planning of the military operation. After weeks of more amicable relations with Russia, Trump issued a surprising threat to Moscow on Friday, saying, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine, he is considering placing large-scale banking sanctions and tariff on Russia until it agrees to a ceasefire and a final peace settlement. The Russia and Ukraine get to the table right now before it's too late, Trump said on Truth Social. But despite Trump's harsh tone, the prospect of higher tariff will mean little to Moscow given the tiny amounts of trade between the United States and Russia. Last year, Russia exported just $3.5 billion of goods to the United States, according to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. Syrian security forces are alleged to have executed dozens of people people belonging to the Alawite minority in the coastal province of Latakia, according to a war monitoring group. Also, the British-based Syrian Observatory for the Human Rights, that is SOHR, said 162 civilians have been killed in the field execution in the region, a heartland of the deposed President Bashar al-Assad, who belongs to the Alawite sect. An Interior Ministry source told the country's official news agency Sana that individual violations have been occurred on the coast and pledged to put a stop to them. Syria's new ruler, who ousted the Assad in December, said a military operation is now being launched in the former president's hometown of Kardaha. In the first statement since the violation broke out, the country's interim president Ahmed al-Shara said that Syria would pressurize and pursue the remnants of the ousted Assad regime and bring them to trial, Reuters reported. Also, this follows clashes between the government forces and fighters loyal to Assad, which left more than 70 dead. A curfew has been imposed in the cities of Homs, Latakia and Tartus, where the fighting has broken out, and the governor of Latakia has said all power to the province has been cut. They are feeling so fearful, they are in a state of shock, said the activist, who did not want to use his name for the fear of reprisals. Also, they don't know what to do. There is no government or state who is ready to help them, to protect them, he added. The United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, also said in a statement he was deeply concerned by reports of the clashes and killings. He called on all parties to refrain from action that could further inflame tensions, escalate conflict, exacerbate the suffering of affected communities, destabilize Syria, and jeopardize a credible and inclusive political transition. The region is a heartland of the Alawite minority and a stronghold of the Assad family, which belongs to the sect. US President Donald Trump said on Friday that India has agreed to cut their tariff way down. Speaking at the Oval Office, Trump said India charges us massive tariff, massive, you can't even sell anything in India. It is restrictive. You know, we do very little business inside India. They have agreed, by the way, they want to cut their tariff way down now because somebody's finally exposing them for what they are doing. Also, Trump remark came hours after India said it is looking at the deepening trade ties with the United States, including the reducing of the tariff and non-tariff barriers under a bilateral trade agreement. Randeep Jaiswal, the spokesperson for the Ministry of External Affairs, said that during the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States last month, both sides announced plans to negotiate a mutually beneficial, multi-sectoral, bilateral trade agreement, that is BTA. Our objective through the BTA is to strengthen and deepen India-US two-way trade across the goods and services sector, increase market access, reduce tariff and non-tariff barrier, and deepen the supply chain integration between the two countries, Jaiswal said. In his latest statement, the United States President Donald Trump, while addressing a joint session of the Congress, mentioned India alongside the European Union, China, and Canada for charging higher tariff on American products. Trump said other countries have used tariff against the United States for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those nations. Also, Modi held talks with Trump on February 13 in Washington, D.C. In the meeting, the two sides agreed to negotiate a mega trade deal by the end of this year and set an ambitious target of USD 500 billion in annual trade by 2030 to narrow the trade deficit. Recognizing this level of ambition would require new fair trade terms, and leaders announced plan to negotiate the first tranche of a mutually beneficial multi-sectoral bilateral trade agreement, that is BTA, by fall of 2025, a joint statement on the Modi-Trump talk said. Also, in the Union Budget for 2025 to 2026, India announces decision to lower tariffs on bourbon whiskey, wines and electric vehicles, that is the EV segments, perceived as India's attempt to placate the US president. Also, Washington is also asking New Delhi to buy more American oil, gas and defense equipment to bring down the trade deficit that stands at around USD 45 billion in India's favor. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various development projects worth 2,587 crore for the UT at Silvassa of Dadra and Nagar Haveli on Friday, that is March 7. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the first phase of the Namo Hospital. Meanwhile, the UT Dadra Nagar Haveli Administrator Praful K. Patel facilitated the Prime Minister Modi at the event to mark the inauguration at the foundation of the laying of the several development projects. Thereafter, he will travel to Surat and around 5 p.m. where he will launch the Surat Food Security Saturation Campaign. According to the PMO statement, the Prime Minister will travel to Navsari on March 8 at around 11:30 a.m. He will interact with the Lakpati DDs, followed by a public function that will witness the launch of various schemes. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been focusing on boosting healthcare facilities in all corners of the country in the UT of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. In line with this, he will inaugurate Namo Hospital, that is Phase 1 in Silvassa. This 450-bed hospital built at a cost of over $460 crore and will also significantly strengthen healthcare services in the United Territory of the Silvassa. Also, the provided with the state and medical care to the region's people, especially in the tribal communities. He will inaugurate and lay down the foundation stone of the multiple development projects for the UT worth over 2,580 crore at Silvassa. These include various villages, roads and other road infrastructure, schools, health and wellness centers, panchayat and administrative buildings, Angarwadi centers, water supply and sewage infrastructure. These projects aim to improve connectivity, promote industrial growth, encourage tourism, create employment opportunity and enhance regional public welfare initiative. As per the statement, the Prime Minister will distribute and appointment letters were being given to the Rozgar Mela and benefits of the beneficiary under the Prime Minister Awas Yojana, Urban Gir Adarsh Ajivika Yojana and the Silvan DD scheme. Gir Adarsh Ajivika Yojana aims to boost economic empowerment of the women belonging to the scheduled caste, that is SC, and scheduled tribes, that is ST, other backward classes, that is OBC, minorities and Divyanjan in the region by setting up small dairy farms and bringing social and economic changes in their lives. For many in Gaza, US President Donald Trump's recent threat feels like nothing more than a justification for further violence and collective punishment against them. Late on Wednesday, Trump had threatened the people of Gaza, saying they all would be dead if captives continued to be held there. As Gaza continues to grapple with the devastating aftermath of war, mass displacement and widespread destruction and dire humanitarian conditions, people are exhausted and skeptical about the international efforts to resolve the war. Yasser al-Sharfa, the 59-year-old man, said he ignores these threats because, like many in Gaza, he has nothing left to lose. Now he runs a makeshift stand selling candy and snack to children. Before, he said, "I used to be a well-known clothing merchant. I had a large shop, a 6-story building, a car and stock warehouse in Tel Hava in the Gaza city. All those years of work hard have been vanished, destroyed in the war. Everywhere you see, look, destruction and ruined, and the businesses that are no more there." Also, Trump or whoever he is, it makes no difference. Displaced southward during the war, al-Sharfa and his family returned to the north after the ceasefire began, only to find a devastated area where life is barely possible. Even if we hand over the captives, nothing will change. The war might return to any moment under a new pretext they come up with. We have lost trust in the entire world. Jamila Mahmood, 62-year-old, did not hear Trump's exact word, but some of her family members discussed it on Thursday morning. As you see, we are completely cut off from everything. No internet, no electricity, no means of communication, she said. Mahmood believes that Trump's threats are part of a psychological war aimed at forcing people out of Gaza. Every time there's a new scenario, sometimes it's talk of forced displacement, sometimes it's Israel taking over Gaza, and today it's threat of all the Gaza residents over the captives. Also, has Gaza suddenly become the root of all the world's problems, she asked. Mahmoud insists that no matter what happens, she will never give up her right to live in Gaza, her homeland. I will remain on my land even if it's just the rubble on my home, no matter what, she affirmed. We lost 50,000 people. Two of my sons were killed in this war in October and December 2023. Two young men in their prime. I lost my home too. We have had enough loss and suffering. South Korean fighter jet accidentally bombed homes during a live fire drill with the United States forces, injuring more than 24 people on Thursday. Seoul military said 8 Mk-82 general purpose bombs were abnormally dropped from the 2K F-16 fighter jet and landed outside the designated firing range at approximately 10 in the morning local time, hitting civilian infrastructure in Pocheon City, northeast of the capital Seoul, according to the South Korean Air Force. South Korea's defense ministry also said that the initial finding indicated that the accident was caused by a pilot inputting the incorrect bombing coordinates. An image that the local media outlet said captured the aftermath of the explosion showed thick smoke billowing into the air and in the rural area. At least 29 people, including 14 soldiers, were injured in the incident, according to authorities. Among 15 injured civilians, 2 people were seriously wounded. The blast destroyed 2 residential buildings, part of church, and a truck. The scene of the incident is chaotic, resembling to a battlefield, Pocheon Mayor Baek Young-hyun said in a televised statement. Also, South Korea's military said all live fire training would be suspended from the Thursday morning until a probe into the incident has concluded. An accident response team has been informed to investigate, and the Air Force said it would provide compensation for damages. The Air Force apologized that the abnormal bomb release has caused civilian damage and wished the injured a swift recovery. A spokesperson from the United States Forces Korea USFK later said in a statement that no US Air Force aircraft were involved in the exercise. Besides the suspended live fire training, the other planned military exercises would go ahead, and the USFK is coordinating with the Korean Authority on the investigation, it said. The Freedom Shields drills were scheduled to run from March 10 to March 20 to strengthen the US-South Korean alliance combined defense posture, Seoul's Joint Chief of Staff said earlier on Thursday. The annual drill often rile nuclear-armed North Korea, which viewed them as provocations. In a statement in the state-run media on Friday, North Korean authorities condemned the exercises for infringing on its sovereignty and security interest and warned that the United States and South Korea would pay a severe price. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has accused the United States and North Korea and the South Korea of increasing tensions with their joint drills, and Pyongyang often responds with bellicose threats. Also in 2023, as US strategic bombers took part in the joint air drills with the South Korean forces, South Korea and North Korea carried out a ballistic missile test, according to the South Korean military. Donald Trump on Friday hosts top cryptocurrency players at the White House, a political boost for the industry that has struggled to gain legitimacy and where the Republican president faces conflict of interest concerns. United States crypto investors were major supporter of Trump's presidential campaign, contributing millions of dollars towards his victory in hopes of ending the Joe Biden administration's deep skepticism towards digital currencies. We will have a conversation about rolling back Biden's war on crypto regulations, a senior White House official told reporters ahead of the meeting. It is an opportunity for the president to hear directly from the industry and for us to take in feedback from the industry, the official added. Also, Trump now has significant financial ties to the sector, partnering with exchange platform World Liberty Financial and launching the Trump Meme Coin in January. Also, First Lady Melania Trump announced the meme coin of her own, Dollar Melania, one day before the inauguration. The president's crypto czar, Silicon Valley investor David Sachs, has invited prominent founders, CEO, and investors along with the members of Trump working working group to craft policy aimed at accelerating crypto growth and providing legitimacy that the industry has long sought. On Thursday, Trump signed an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, a move Sachs said made good on a campaign promise to an increasingly important component of his coalition. Summit guests include Twin Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, also the founders of the crypto platform Gemini, as well as Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and Michael Saylor, for the boss of major Bitcoin investor MicroStrategy. In an post, Sachs said the event would take place as a roundtable, and despite industry interest, the White House would have to keep it small. For believers, cryptocurrency represent a financial revolution that reduces dependence on centralized authority while offering individual an alternative to traditional banking system. Critics meanwhile maintain that these assets function primarily as speculative investment with questionable real-world utility that could leave taxpayers on the hook for cleaning up if the market crashes. The proliferation of the meme coins, cryptocurrency based on celebrities, internet memes, or pop culture item rather than technical utility, presents another challenge. We'll have to see how the story unfolds in a couple of more days and weeks to come. Now bringing you latest updates on today's market trends. Global stock market exhibited strong upward momentum today with the key indices across the North and the South America posting solid gains. Investors responded positively to economic data, corporate earning reports, and broader market sentiment, leading to a rally in the major indexes. In the United States, the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 222.64 points, that is up by 0.52%, reflecting steady confidence in the blue chip stock. The S&P 500, a benchmark for the broader market performance, gained 31.68 points, that is 0.55% rise, while the Nasdaq, known for its concentration of the technology stock, outperformed with 126.97 points, that is the increase of 0.70%. The Russell 2000, which tracks small cap stock, also showed resilience with an 8.93 points increase, that is a 0.43% rise, suggesting investor interest in riskier assets. Meanwhile, the VIX, often referred to as the Wall Street fear gauge, fell sharply by 6.03%, that is a minus 1.50 points, also signaling the lower market volatility and the improved investor confidence. A declining VIX often indicates the reduced uncertainty and a performance of a risk on trades. North of the border, Canada's S&P TSX Composite Index rose by 174.72 points, that is a rise of 0.71%, fueled by gains in energy, financial and mining stocks. The S&P TSX 60, which represents the 60 largest companies on the Toronto Stock Exchange, followed closely with a 0.70 increase, that is to a rise of 0.57 points, and the positive economic indicators and the stability in the commodity prices that contributes to Canada's market strength. South American market also posted impressive performance. Brazil's Bovespa index surged by a remarkable 1,677 points, that is a 1.36% rise, leading the region as investors remained optimistic about the economic recovery and policy stability. In Chile, the S&P IPSA recorded a modest gain of 0.67 points, that is 1.56% higher, while the Mexico's S&P BMV IPC edged up 23.20 points, that is a 0.04% rise, showing restrained but steady growth. Overall, today's market rally highlights a positive investor outlook driven by the favorable economic condition, corporate earning, and a decline in volatility. The strong performance of technology and the blue chip stocks in the US, along with the gains in the commodity-driven market like Canada and Brazil, suggest a broad-based confidence across the various sectors. However, with the ongoing global uncertainties, investors will remain watchful for the potential headwinds in the coming sessions. Commodity market showed a mixed but really general stable movements today, that of the energy, metal and agricultural commodities experiencing minimal price fluctuation. WTI crude oil edged up slightly by 0.01% to reach at $67.05, while Brent crude oil remained unchanged at $69.88, indicating a cautious outlook among energy traders despite ongoing global supply and demand concerns. Natural gas saw a marginal uptick of $0.5 that to reach $4.40, reflecting a steady market amid seasonal demand shifts. In the metal sector, gold continued its slow ascent, gaining $3.60 to reach $2,917.70 as investors maintained interest in the precious metal as a safe haven asset. Silver also saw a moderate increase, rising 0.11 to reach $32.91, driven by industrial and investment demand. Meanwhile, in agriculture, soybean remained mostly flat, increasing by just $10.25 as traders weighed global crop yields and export demands. Overall, today's commodity market reflects a period of stability with minor movements in energy and metals, while agricultural market remains subdued. Investors continue to monitor geopolitical development, economic indicators, and central bank policies for further directions in the commodity space. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Time Bulletin.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages scenes. America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar and you're watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Now let's look at some sports highlights. Danilo Lavishin arrived in Japan in April 2022 as a teenage refugee from the war in Ukraine, unable to speak a word of the language and uncertain how long he would be separated from his family. This weekend, a 20-year-old will make his debut in the top division of the ancient sport of the sumo wrestling after rising through the ranks with record speed. "I'm more excited than nervous," he told reporters and fans in the public appearance ahead of the major tournament in Osaka. Brimming with confidence, he added, "I'm looking forward to competing against tough opponents. I want to win more than 10 bouts and win one of the 3 awards for exceptional performances." Not known by his Japanese ring name, Onisaki Arata, the Ukrainian wrestler, also that recently won the promotion to the sumo's highest level when he ended the New Year's tournament in Tokyo with 12 wins and just 3 losses. It took him just 9 tournaments to reach the top tier of the Japan's de facto national sport, an accomplishment that ties him with the two other wrestlers for the fastest ascent through all 6 divisions since 1958, when sumo adopted its current format of 6 grand tournaments or basho a year. On Sunday, he will start 15 days of bouts at the Osaka Basho as the No 15 Megashira, the most junior rank in the light Makuchi division, but from where the sumo wrestlers and watchers believe he will mount a campaign to become the first European Yokozuna Grand Champion. President Donald Trump on Friday signed an executive order establishing a White House task force for the 2026 World Cup that will oversee preparation for the high-profile tournament. The task force, first reported by the Outkick, will be chaired by Trump. Vice President J.D. Vance will serve as the vice chair, and an executive director, to be named later, will run the day-to-day operations. We are going to be establishing a task force, a very important task force, and that's on the FIFA World Cup of 2026, which is, a very big event, Trump said. It's going to be the biggest event, I think. The task force will coordinate with the federal agency to plan and execute the massive job of hosting both the 2025 Club World Cup and the World Cup a year later. The draft fact sheet outlines that more than 8 million international visitors are expected to come to the United States for the month-long tournament that kicks off in June 2026. Trump said he does plan to attend some matches. Trump was president in 2018 when the US won the bid to co-host the tournament with Canada and Mexico, and views bringing the expanded 48-team soccer showcase to the US as a significant accomplishment. He at times had a replica of the World Cup trophy displayed beside and this desk in the Oval Office that he said that the current tensions with the Mexico and Canada will make it more exciting. It's a great honor for our country to have it. Actually, it's a big deal. I don't know which is bigger, the Olympic of the World Cup, the Trump said, alluding to the Summer Games coming to LA in 2028. The worries are numerous. Lengthy waits, time for fan visas approval could discourage thousands from trying to come to the United States for the tournament. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on the social media platforms Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android, and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News Channel 24.